Hi, I'm Joe. Most of you know me. I'm here in my office at our church at Word of Life Pentecostal Holiness Church. This is where I do all my work for the church and for the school. Soon I will be doing the presentation about the EuroPass. And with me I have David and his son Diego. And I want to thank them for taking time. It's David's day off, and he's spending hours with me to put this video for you. Taking the video was just part of it, then there is the editing and so forth. So I really appreciate your prayers for Diego, his dad, and his family. Talk to you soon. Greetings from Malta. I am sorry that I cannot be with you in Bordeaux in France this year, but I will still be giving my message, as Dr. Rose has asked me to do, on the subject of the EuroPass. I greet you from Malta, and I believe that with this message you will know more about what is going on through Global University on this island concerning accreditation and the EuroPass. As most of you know me, I'm the national representative of Global University in Malta, and I have been working with the Global EuroPass for the last few years. However, before I continue, I just want to mention one scripture. And the scripture is in Psalm 127, and it says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain." And I'm mentioning this scripture because whatever accomplishments that has been done through Global University in Malta, I know that you understand that all glory is given to God. I may use some terminology which is different than you are used to. For example, if I use the word accreditation, it would be the same as licensing. Therefore, if there are some questions as you need to ask, take a note so that after this video, I will be able to connect with you on Skype. I would like to say that Christine, my wife, and I love Global University. I've been studying with Global University for the last 25 years. And I was appointed as director of Global University in Malta in 2009. Immediately, I started to work on the accreditation, and 2 years later, we arrived to this historical event. The historical event is the first protocol that the school signed with the government. You can see this old man here and this beautiful lady in front, which are with you there in France, Dr. Rose and Lynn. They have been a great support for us through the many years that we've been working with Global University. So what is the advantage, or what are the advantages of the EuroPass? There are 3 advantages: the advantage for the students, for the local church, and for GU and the national office. What's important is that for the students, the advantage or several advantages that exist are some that are going to be mentioned now. 1, their education is leveled with accepted national standards, which means if we have a student studying a particular level, let's say level 3, then that standard with our school is the same standard of level 3 that all courses of the level 3 have. And therefore, our school has the same standard as all other schools on the island. But more than that, the same standard in Europe. The EuroPass also shows that the students are receiving monitored quality learning experience. This is very important. I know that we are a distant learning school. However, because of our license, because of our accreditation, we give more attention to the individual student. This is important, as you will see later on, because it is required that we give 5 hours for every credit as contact hours. Also, we see that their qualification has its value accepted nationally and internationally, which means that a certificate of, let's say, an award in a particular subject of 60 ECTS credits, wherever you go in Europe, those 60 ECTS credits will remain the same. And therefore, the national licensing guarantees that the student's qualification will enjoy the benefit of European recognized programs. So what I just said now shows already how important accreditation and recognition are for us as global university. And in Malta, we have worked hard so that we will have these standards. And these standards we are also offering to you. Advantages of the EuroPass. We have the first question. Does the church need nationally qualified ministers and leadership? This can cause a discussion. Some agree that we need it, some say we don't need it, and some say we should not need it. However, I believe that as global university, we all agree that the church needs qualified ministers and leaders. In Europe, and most of you know this, the trend is that all those who give service need to be qualified. Whether you're somebody that's painting a wall or a laborer in the building industry, in Malta, you need to be certified. Whatever you do, you need to be certified. And the government is working intensely so that everyone that is offering service, especially in education, then that person has the required qualifications. The qualifications of leadership is of the same standard or other standards of the traditional churches and other professions. For example, in a staunch Roman Catholic country, we are used to hear that priests need to do so many years in seminary before they can perform the Mass. In other words, in our language, they need to have the equivalent of a Master of Divinity before they go into the ministry. So this is the local standard. Does a pastor have to have a Master of Divinity? Well, that has to do with himself, his own conscience, his church, his denomination. But personally, I do agree that every pastor should aim for that level of education. Also, when we offer certificates from Global University, we are part of those recognized Bible schools, which are totally different than those who offer diploma mills. I attended several, I would say many conferences, and the diploma mills are mentioned nearly every time. And this is something which I believe as Christians we should honor, and that if we are going to give a certificate to a student, then that student should have a recognized certificate. Advantages for the Global University and National Office is this. Governmental qualifications will place Global University and the National Office in the same level of other recognized universities and institutions. And therefore, we will have the same attractive reputation for our students. If we measure ourselves with the Malta University, you can see here that there is a learning path which starts from the very first levels, level 1, and up to the doctoral degree. At this time, Global University in Malta measures with the 3-year masters, which we have the Master of Divinity, which comes up here. Hopefully, in few months, I would say early next year, we will reach the same measure of the University of Malta once we have our doctoral degrees also recognized. In the EuroPass, we'll find that there are several levels of education. And those levels, which we have 8 of them, are divided into 2 sections. We have the further education and we have the higher education. The higher education is, as you can see here, for example, we have undergraduate diplomas, we have bachelor of arts degrees, and also postgraduate diplomas, master's degrees, and doctoral degrees. Just to give you an idea, our Berean School of the Bible course fits there. If we are talking about the bachelor degrees, they will fit just on top, and so on. So we can see that our global university courses fit in the levels of education that Europe is using. What we have here now is the further education. And if you look, for example, here, level 1, level 2, level 3, the Christian Life series, which is also recognized and has been recognized about 2 years ago, fits in level 2, and the Christian service fits in level 3. And therefore, if looking at this chart, these are the courses that we have recognized here in Malta. These are full qualifications, all undergraduate certificates, the Berean program, Bachelor of Arts in Theology, Education, Masters of Divinity, MA Biblical Studies, Graduate Certificate in Education. These are all recognized and fit in this full qualification, except the Graduate Certificate of Education and the Undergraduate Certificate. Why? Because they do not have the required credits to be a full qualifications. However, they are a recognized award. So you can see that the system, how it works, is putting us in a very advantageous position so that as we promote the courses, we can say and show to our students how their certificate fits in the European framework. The higher education and further education courses, we have the Christian Life and the Christian Service, they are further education, also are part of this package that we can presently offer to our students. So we come now to the Malta Qualification Resource Center. In Malta, we have the Malta Qualification Framework, which is the same as the European Qualification Framework. If it's level 1 in Malta, it's level 1 in Europe. If it's level 8 in Malta, it will be level 8 in the European framework. Our organization, this Malta Qualification Framework, which is part of the National Commission for Further Higher Education, is also responsible towards the European Qualification Framework. So everything fits together. Also, we're affiliated in the European Network for Quality Assurance, which means that the quality that we are giving to the students have the European standard. And NARIC is the organization in Europe which recognizes those certificates outside Europe. And therefore, when we have the EuroPass, it means that that certificate that the student worked hard for is a certificate worth having because it has the standard of the European quality framework. Now, there is a process. To receive an accreditation, there's a process which needs work, needs time, and it's built on 4 pillars. These 4 pillars are, first of all, recognized programs. Now, the fact that we are part of Global University and our courses with Global University are already recognized in America, we don't have any problem with those. But for example, the accreditation of the Christian life and the Christian service, those are outside America and they are recognized directly by Malta. The qualifications of the director or of the head of school, for example, to offer master's degree, the head of school needs to have a doctoral degree. At the moment, we have an agreement, since we don't have that person qualified, until the next few months, God willing, we still are offering master's degree, which are recognized in Malta, to have the MA in Biblical Studies recognized, we have the MDiv recognized, we have the graduate certificate in education, they are recognized, but not yet on our license. In a few months, they will be. Then we need to have the internal quality assurance policies, and this is the biggest job of it all, paperwork upon paperwork, writing policies and so forth, which then they will be audited in a number of days, and then you have a report, and you have to make answer to the report, and it goes on and on and on. And when you finish, you start all over again for the next 5-year license. And the license building. Now you may ask, but we are distant learning schools. Yes, it's true, but that's what the law says. However, we have a license building, and we are going to start another series of discussions to use different buildings to accommodate our school. That means they will fit our purpose. So these are the 4 pillars on which our license is holding. The process requires time, as I said, money, and commitment. Until now, until today, a 5-year license costs us €5,000. So it doesn't come cheap, but it's all worthwhile. So does recognition and licensing have implications on our faith? Now, recognition is not concerned about the content per se, but by learning outcomes and the delivery. It is concerned with the quality service of the students, to provide students the assurance of quality learning, to assure students of the value of their qualification. The content does not affect our license. We teach what we believe. We believe the Bible, we teach the Bible as it is written, we preach it, we do courses on it, and that does not affect in one way or the other our recognition. And therefore, again, we don't yet, at least, have the government deciding for us what we have to teach or what we cannot teach. at this time and for the foreseeable future, this is not an issue yet in Malta. It is a long-term commitment. You don't just start and finish. As I said, you plan, you implement, you evaluate, you review, and after that review, you start again. And this is where we are right now in the part of the review. And soon, God willing, in a few weeks, I would say, we'll have writing the extension of our next license, and we'll start planning and restructuring our internal quality assurance policies so that we will be better than we are today. The EuroPass is recognized in 52 countries. The next slide, which you see now, are the 52 countries which are listed. Obviously, you can't read them all at once. However, if you're in France, France is also listed. We can see it, France here. It's one of the countries which recognizes the EuroPass. Germany, I think it's safe to say that soon Malta, our office in Malta, will be receiving students from Germany. So probably you'll be seeing this in September. I'm recording in August. And by this time, Brother Helmut would have already submitted some of applications for students, BA students in Malta, so that they will also receive this EuroPass. So, what are the steps needed to access the EuroPass benefits? Now, if your office is in the EU, contact your regional director for guidance. You don't contact me. Students don't contact me. I'm sorry for that. Students do not contact me. You, the national representatives, you contact me about your students. I will not have contact directly with your students. We also make sure that every step that we make, we receive the approval from the international office from Springfield. Every email we communicate with, presently Mark Ryder will be copied and probably others, Dr. Rose, of course, so that everything is transparent. We don't want to do anything which compromises the Global University accreditation in America. And once we do that, we can start the process of recognition according to your national qualification resource policy. So I encourage you, if you are willing, and if your students are willing, use Maltese accreditation for your students. We are here to assist you. This work, what we have accomplished, it's not just for us, it's for the kingdom of God. We are Global University, we are one family, and Christine and I will be very, very, very happy to help any country which would like to have its students recognized by our Maltese licensing. So when we say EuroPass, who is EuroPass for? Now, this is kind more open than just for a theological school, just to see the breadth and the width of the EuroPass. EuroPass will be used by students who wish to communicate their qualifications and competencies in an effective way. The EuroPass is like a certificate, it's a booklet, and in there you will have the records of your education, of your qualification, what you have learned, what you are able to do, your competencies, your skills, they are all listed there. And this is a big responsibility, because once that document is signed, it means that the student is able to do all that's listed in the EuroPass. So we carry that responsibility. And that is why the monitoring of education, the monitoring of the courses, and the qualifications of the teachers themselves is important for us. Students will be able to use EuroPass when they are seeking jobs, when they wish to enter education or any other training program. For example, if we are an engineer and I'm a tool catering grinder, and I have a certificate of level 6. If I go to Germany, that same level 6 is my passport to work in Germany. My education in Malta, for my education in Malta, I have a passport called the EuroPass, which I go to other countries in the EU and say, these are my qualifications, which the 52 countries mentioned earlier in the previous slides recognize as authentic. Mobility. We live in a world where people travel from one country to the other. And therefore, in quality assurance in Europe, we hear many times the terms ECVET or ECAVET. ECVET refers to the European Credit Transfer for Vocation, Education and Training, which means a credit in Malta has the same value in Italy, in France, and in Germany. Also, we have the European Quality Assurance for Vocation, Education, and Training, which means that the quality of your education, of the student's education, has the standard required. And that is why, as Helmut already knows and others of you know, if you're going to do a course with us, it's a bit more, there is more paperwork involved, there is more scrutiny in it, we need more confirmations from the national office, because we want to make sure that the integrity, especially the integrity of the exam, has not been compromised. Because of this work, then, we earn this piece of paper which you put on a wall, which is in my office. I can look at it now, which reminds us of the hard work, but of the benefits that the students have when they study with us as Global University. There are several benefits. It gives added value to geo-qualification. So when you say, I have a certificate from Global University, it's not just coming from America, it's also recognized in Europe with no discussion. Added value to the students' hard work. It's great to have a degree in Bible and theology. That's what we know about God. We have learned more about the Bible. But you don't just have, you have also a certificate which is recognized in Malta. Who knows? Maybe somebody who earned a BA in Rome with this standard finds a job as a pastor in another church in somewhere else in Europe, you know, Germany or Netherlands or wherever. You can still use it. Proof that the student's entity has the quality assurance that the European quality assurance demands. This is very important. And that may be why it requires a bit more attention. However, it is all worthwhile. And of course, the pride of the student that's staying with a school of excellency in his or her own country. Other benefits of the EuroPass supplements. The EuroPass will help GEO students to convey their qualifications and competencies in an effective way. That means our certificates will show what you have accomplished to do, what you are able to do in your church. If you say you have done, for example, biblical languages, then you're expected to read Greek and you're expected to interpret the Bible from the Greek, and you need to, make a proper exegesis and so forth, because that will be listed in your EuroPass. Enable people with diverse backgrounds and experiences to gain access to opportunities for learning and employment throughout Europe. As I just said, you might be in Malta and a certificate in pastoral ministry, and you read in some Christian magazine, a church in Spain is seeking a pastor. You go from Malta, or if you received the certificate from Malta to Spain, and there you are having that job because you own a recognized certificate. Promote strong links between education and training, ensuring the continuing relevance and adequate appreciation of competencies and qualifications. Therefore, we can see that link going through the process, which gives us, as Global University, a very strong position in Europe with our theological and biblical degrees. Now let me explain a bit more to you about the components which makes this accreditation and disqualification, and I will start with credits. Now, the number of hours of credits in Malta is different than the number of credits in the United States. In the United States, it's between 40 to 45 hours per credit. In Malta, it is 25. And therefore, when we come to translate the credits, a simple multiplication and division, and we'll get the same credits that one will have in Europe, but in America, but they will be transferred into the number of credits in Malta. And this is how it works. Hours for each credits. We have also overall course objectives and learning outcomes in different aspects. 1 credit is equals to 24 hours of total learning. At least 20%, 5 hours every 1 ECTS credits, must be contact hours or as otherwise established from time to time by the National Commission for Further and Higher Education. And therefore, when we have students doing a course with us, and it is 2 credit ECTS credits in Malta, it means that the student needs to have 10 contact hours. If it's 1 credit, then 5 contact hours. This is important. However, since our people, our students, Christians, they attend church, if they can record the number of Bible studies they attended, or Skype meetings with an instructor, or on an even blog, those hours are, the time used will be added up towards the 5 contact hours. In the case of online learning, synchronous and asynchronous learning activities under the direction and control of an instruction are considered as contact hours. Therefore, if you write an email and you're explaining yourself to your mentor, asking him directions about a paper you are reading, that's part of those contact hours. If you're having a Skype meeting, it is part of those contact hours. And a breakdown of the hours are like this. We have lectures, we have seminar, tutorials, participation in online forums, video lectures, learning activities, all of which must be under the direction and control of an instructor. So there must be a feedback either to the national office or to an assigned mentor or instructor to record these hours. This is very important. Supervised placement and practice hours. Part of those 25 hours, besides the 5 hours of contact hours, we need to have contact hours. Now, this is great for us because our students then, especially if they attend the local church, we can say, this is great, so you must practice some of what you are doing. So if a student is doing a course on the letters of Paul, that student can be asked to share with the congregation what he has been learning from the letters of Paul. And by that, we are training them to share, to be in front of people and gain the experience of speaking publicly as part of this training. So it's not just doing a course on a table at home and finish. No, the student will also need to practice what they have been learning. And I believe this is the whole point of learning. The self-study, when the student studies at home, in his office or wherever, is the estimated workload of research and study. So that is the rest of the amount. Assessment hours are also part of the 25 hours. Examinations, presentations, group work, projects, that is also part of the assessment. So if a person is writing a final paper and it takes him 6 hours to write it or whatever, that's part of the assessment for that particular degree. Objectives are kind of the normal objectives you are used to, knowledge, skills, and competencies. I will not spend time on this. However, as we come nearing the end, we are going to show you or encourage you or suggest to you how to apply for EuroPass from Malta. It's important, this logo that we have here, the National Commission for Further Education, I have to say we are proud to have that logo on our literature, on our license, on our website, because that shows that what we are giving to students is something real, something that has value, something that can keep the Christian minister with his head up, because his or her certificates are the same level of any other courses or programs in Europe. The Global EuroPass Center is the name that Global University gave to us as a label so that you would know that Malta is the Global EuroPass Center. And on the right-hand side is the legal name of Global University in Malta, which is Global Institute of Theology. Global Institute of Theology is not a different school. It's nothing different than Global University. It's like you in your country, the same thing as Malta. We're not a different entity. We are Global University. But because of legal reasons, you had to change the name. So these are the procedures. Application, I'll always process as usual by the respective national representative in the student's country. As I said, I will not contact the students. The students are always in contact with the national representative. The national representative contacts me and our leaders, and we'll go from there. Maybe something different even for the levels of the Berean and degrees, we would need recent digital picture, copy of ID card or passport. Why? Because we need to make sure, because that's what is required, that the person sitting down for the exam is the same person that applied for it. Meaning, we don't want someone coming to take an exam who is not the actual person that applied for the course. And I'm sure everybody would agree with this. The student confirms his or her intention to benefit from the EuroPass. This will be done by a tick on our application. We have the same application that you use, but we added another box where the student would say, we want the EuroPass. And that tick will tell us that that student is agreeing for the responsibility that the EuroPass requires. More information about the EuroPass is found in our website, which is www.git.edu.mt, and the person can confirm there. The national representatives will send us scanned paperwork to the global EuroPass Center. So everything is the same, except that you send to Malta scanned copies of the student enrollment, subject enrollment forms, and the student applications. And from here on, the application is as normal. The national representative will ensure to protect the integrity of all exams. The national representative will forward us copies of the SFs, FVs, FGRs, and so on. So we need copies for our records, because during audits, they would want to see the records. If we say the student do an assignment, we need to show assignments. And they can say, pick up a file, and we pick up a file, and I'm looking there because I'm pointing to where our files are, and they say, okay, show me a file of somebody who has completed or is doing a BA. So I go and pick up the file, and then they will examine that all the elements that we are obliged to our license are there. So that's why we need this paperwork. The exam integrity, we have also their links, because we wouldn't want an approved proctor. We would want that the proctor would be any Tom, Dick, and Harry. The national representatives, you say, for example, Pastor A is a bona fide person, and he can be the proctor of the exam. So we will send Pastor A a link. He'll fill that some information, and he will be recorded on our records, because those records need to be also be available for the quality assurance audit. However, before every other exam, the student needs to fill a form. We receive the form by email automatically, and in that form, the student will say, I'm taking the exam on this day. There will be 3 different options. The proctor, on the same day when the exam is taken, will also send to us an online form declaring that he was present, that he switched on the computer, that he logged on to the student, that the student is the same person that applied for the exam. That's why we need the pictures and so forth. And that will be his declaration that the exam was done as it's supposed to have been. So that's my end of my presentation. I guess as you see this, somebody's trying to connect with me with Skype. So if you have any questions, then I will be very happy to answer you. Thank you very much for your time. God bless.